And welcome back to the Zone. I'm Brant.
I'm Jay.
And we have a special guest with us this week, Mike Watson. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing excellent. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, doing fantastic, and glad to have you on Zone 4 again. It's been a while. We'll get into all that and so much more. But first, we should mention we are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us on comicspodcasts.com each and every week. Go check it out. There's all kinds of podcasts over there as well. And, of course, you can follow us on social media, Twitter and Facebook at Zone 4 Podcast. Check out zone4podcast.com. And if you want early access and access to the Zone 4 Aftermath show, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Brant Fowler. So that's it. We don't have any news or anything like that because we've got our special guest, Mike, and we want to talk about all kinds of stuff. So with that, it's topic time.
Topic time. It's topic time.
So, all right.
Chris isn't here, and you have no technical difficulties with it.
Yeah, it's always Chris. It's Chris's fault, man. I don't know. Speaking of Chris, I guess I should mention why he's not here. Chris has been under the weather all week. He's just now started to feel a little bit better. His fever broke today, so he decided to sit out this week instead of contaminating us over the internet with his germs. I guess I don't know. So hopefully he'll be back next week, but. We got Mike, so we're good. Funny story, Mike, before we get into it. Mike, you almost became a co-host of Zone 4 years ago.
Yes, I did.
And we had a little contest, and when it was just Ron and me, and we held a contest to get a third cast member, and Gordon won over just by a slight margin over Mike. Going back, I probably should have just brought you both on. That was kind of dumb, but whatever. would have been fun, man. But you're doing all right. You're doing all right for yourselves. It's all good.
Oh, trying to make it through.
Yeah. So, I want to get your role right. You are a publisher, correct?
Yeah, I am the new publisher of Short Fuse Media.
Short Fuse Media. So Mike is the publisher of Short Fuse Media, longtime co-founder of Freestyle Comics. Still got that going.
Yep.
And they've got Short Fuse. Yeah, that's talk brand. Short Fuse Media has a Kickstarter going on right now called Heroes International, and it's doing really well. Almost funded already. So. We're going to talk about that and all things Short Fuse Media, freestyle, whatever you want to talk about, Mike. This is the floor is yours, and we're gonna get into it, man. So, first of all, how you doing?
All smiles, man. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to go. Excited about this Kickstarter. Excited about closing out the year. Excited about starting up next year with some new comic stuff we got going on. I'm pretty jazzed.
Awesome. Good to hear, man. For anybody that doesn't know, Mike and I go back, 9 years? 10 years? Something like that?
I think 10. 10.
Yeah, I think it was 10. I think the first time we met was at Gym City Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time I saw you and Victor, and I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden, these two guys started walking through the aisles yelling, "Sketch battle!" And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? It was crazy. Y'all were all energy, all hype, and haven't stopped since.
Oh, my God. I don't even know. I don't even know how I forgot that. Yes, we did. I remember that. Yeah, him and I just running up and down the aisleways yelling sketch battles. Who wants to sketch battle?
It was fun, man. I think that's when Chuck and John were telling me, like, man, these guys, they're awesome. They're just exciting. And I was like, okay, that's cool. They look like they're having fun. So,
yeah, that's all that mattered, is having a good time. Making it entertaining for people, making them remember you, making sure that everybody had fun. So it wasn't always about the sales for us. It wasn't always about making the money. It was about making an impact with people, because that's how you get people to get behind you and rally behind you.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And you guys definitely did that, and you're still doing it, man. I check out your live streams on occasion that you've been doing on Facebook and stuff, and just that energy and that positivity and that just happiness comes through every time you're on screen, man. It does.
Nobody wants to see somebody sad talking about comics.
That's true. Yeah. Like,
well, I take that back. You can be sad and talk about comics if you have money.
Yeah, that's the difference right there. But no, you're totally right. That's how you get people behind you, is you connect and like you said, make an impact, and they'll remember you. And I never forgot you, that's for sure. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So so tell me how you got hooked up with Short Fuse Media, because you were doing your own thing with Freestyle Comics for years and years, and then all of a sudden I hear, like, what? Mike Watson's involved with Short Fuse. He's a publisher. Where'd that come from?
That's a funny story. So I've been with Short Fuse for last year, and before that I was with another publisher, and everything was started off really good with that publisher. We made a very, very huge impact at our first show. So I had put Freestyle Comics on hold, and I was able to bring all my books and characters over to this publisher. So everything wasn't bad at the publisher, because I went from producing 1 book to producing 3 books, getting a chance to bring out Vigilance and Heroes International. And when we did our first comic book convention at Wizard World Columbus, we sold a ton of books. But then after that, things quickly started to fall off. Things that were said just weren't fulfilled, and we kept getting strung along, and the ship just slowly started to sink, and we went our separate ways. Obviously we did not see eye to eye on things through our separation, and once I was off of that publisher, I said, F it, I'm just going to go back to doing FSK. I'm not going to answer to anybody. We're going to bring the book back. We're going to bring all the books back, and we're going to make comics. And I think I put my public announcement of leaving that publisher, because when I got signed to that, everybody was completely behind me and excited, and they were like, oh yeah, that's the next big move, that's cool. So I put up my announcement that I wasn't with them anymore, and I got a lot of support for that. And Sean Mack said some stuff on my page, and then he slid in my DMs. And was talking about he wanted me to be a part of Short Fuse. He tried to work with me a little bit ago. I still don't believe him to this day about that. I would remember talking to Sean Mack, but he really was a big fan of Hot Shot, and he wanted to bring that title underneath Short Fuse. And I was like, nah, I'm good, man. I've already done the whole publisher thing. I'm not feeling it. Yeah. Not feeling how that road goes. But Sean was extremely understanding and patient. And dude, I think we talked through maybe like 4 or 5 months of just talking. Yeah. Like maybe 2 months of just straight talking and answering questions. Then he worked up a contract for me. And then like we spent the next like 2 or 3 months just picking it apart. He was very understanding of my situation and where I'd come from with the previous publisher, and why I was shaky about going with somebody else. I mean, he added stuff to the contract specifically that I wanted in there, just because it wasn't covered in or I thought it was covered in my last contract, and it wasn't. So he was completely just all about it. And he had what the other publisher didn't. He had the experience in making comic books and having comic books be out there in the arena selling books. He knew the business back end of it much better and was all about it. So then I went ahead and signed the paperwork and brought everything over to Short Fuse, and we had that first Kickstarter as my welcoming in party. I had never been on Kickstarter before, so that Kickstarter bug bit me bad, and I was all about it. I went to my convention stuff was going fine though. Outside of the previous publisher, I was hitting a lot of shows. I was getting some momentum with the shows. Kind of developed a semi-partnership with Wizard. They were bringing me out for programming. I created my own thing where I was doing the hype line for Wizard World, so I would go hype up the crowd before they even got into the show. I was giving them freebies and freestyling for them, and having them come back to my table and stuff like that for the free items. I was getting invited out to a lot of different comic book conventions, so that's kind of like what Sean wanted me to bring to Short Fuse. So once I came over, I was a editor-in-chief. I was still my own guy. I still got to run Freestyle Comics. We just published the books through Short Fuse, and I handled all the comic book conventions for Short Fuse. And I guess we did the second Kickstarter with Vigilance, and we set that at 2,600. We did $7,000. And I just assumed my constant energy and positive attitude, and the fact that I hit a lot, show after show after show, and I was building my presence online. Sean talked to me about bringing me on as publisher of Short Fuse so he can do more stuff in the backgrounds, because he wants to focus more on toys, video games, the merchandising aspect of it, and just operations. And I was like, man, shut up, quit playing. I've been here for a year, man. You better get at to somebody else who's been here longer than me, man. I'm not ready for your shit, dude. I haven't got my shit under control, man. I'm still learning stuff myself. You know, and again, Sean has that mouthpiece, man. He will just talk to you, and then it just became more appealing. And you know, of course, I leaned on my brothers Victor, Danny, and Ren, and you know, got their feedback on it. Talked to my wife about it. And then, you know, the more and more I got their opinions on it, and more I thought about it, I was like, man, how do I go from being with one publisher and getting fired from it for something I had no control over, and then a year with this new publisher, and now they want me to be the publisher? And I was like, I'd be kind of dumb not to do this, or at least fill it out. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been rocking as the publisher, getting my feet wet, and seeing what it's like to manage 50 titles.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome, but it's crazy.
Right? Yeah, you know, it is. It's a lot.
That's all right, though. You seem to be handling it well so far. So my hat's off to you, man. So
appreciate it.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's just really cool. I'm happy for your success, because like I said, we go back, and I always, you know, I want all my friends to succeed and do well. So I mean, that's a really cool story. And Short Fuse has been doing some amazing things. It's funny because like Kat, I've been doing like live shows with Kat from Comic Frontline for years now, and she's like talking to me about you, and I'm like, Mike Watson, I know that guy. Wait a minute. You can't tell me about Mike. I know Mike.
Oh, man. Absolutely love Kat. If I had to say, if you put me and Kat in a room to sell books, I would be worried. Kat is a seller. Oh my God, man. She can move. She can move books, man. She sells. I am super impressed with her, and I love her energy. I love her work ethic. I mean, she's all over, man. She's all over. She's doing interviews. She's going to New York Comic Con. She's writing 2 books. She's doing all the PR for Short Fuse. She's got her own YouTube page, and she's just freaking banging it, man. All respect to Kat for what she's doing and where she's at right now.
Yeah, no, she's a beast. She's awesome. Yeah. She's really cool. Looks like Jay's going in and out. I think he's having some bad weather there. You back, Jay? All right. He'll be with us in a minute, I'm sure. Didn't want to leave him out of the conversation. That's right. But no, yeah, she's awesome, and it's cool. I mean, that's how I got to know Short Fuse Media. It was through her book and everything. And then, you know, of course I'm paying attention, and they're putting out book after book. And I'm like, man, these guys, they know what they're doing. And you know, then get you involved in some other creators, you know, that I'm aware of, and it's like, man, it's like y'all put me to shame. It's good. I'm happy about it. So I'm happy to support it, and I'm glad that we're talking about it. So going back to Kickstarter now, you got Heroes International on there up right now. How long has it been? It's been just like a week, few days.
We got 21 days.
21 days left. That's it.
21 days left to go. So it's been about 9 days on it. Yeah. We are 85% funded.
Sweet.
2,000. Our goal is 2,600. We're at 2,227 with 74 backers.
Nice. Very cool. So tell us a little bit about Heroes International.
All right. Well, Heroes International is the premier superhero team in the Freestyle Comics verse. It is the third franchise in the Hotshot verse. And they are just like any other superhero team. They're like your Avengers or your Justice League, with one key exception. They suck. All right, they are the worst team drafted. They are actually a bunch of little young Thundercats that were strung together after the Zero event has happened, and EHD, the Extra Human Department, wanted to show the world that we weren't missing any beats. Don't worry, we have your safety in regards, and they put together this team of new heroes, rookies, fresh faces, and things like this. And it just so happens that there's a lot of personality clashes on here. A lot of young kids on this team that feel like you can't tell them what to do because they know what's best. You have a very strong, diverse cast of characters, and I'm saying diverse as in background, skin, size, shape of face. Like you just, when you look at the cast of Heroes International, they look like people that you can bump into in the street. They look like normal people who just happen to be epic. They just happen to have powers and sometimes bad attitudes.
Awesome. It sounds really cool, man. The art looks awesome. You said it's in the Hotshot universe. So where's Hotshot in all this?
Hotshot is in Columbus, Ohio, defending that city, protecting it. He's been approached by EHD to be a part of Heroes International, but because of the Zero event where all the heroes or extras have on register have disappeared, EHD gives Hotshot a little breathing room because there's not that many heroes around, so they don't chain him in. He just happens to be so lucky that the city of Columbus really loves him. But he teams up with Heroes International from time to time. Actually, the first issue is a direct tie into Hotshot 7. So we will have crossovers and things like that with them, but Hotshot's definitely in that world. Vigilance is on the Heroes International team, and you would think when you have a character like Vigilance, who is our Superman type character in that book, that they really shouldn't have any problems. But the thing is, Vigilance is really she's the poster girl for the team. She's never really there for the missions. If she's there, she may come in to clean up their mess, but she's the one that they put her on all the posters, and they put her all in front for the photo shoots and stuff, just to put our world at ease. Like, oh, it's okay because Vigilance is on that team, but she's far too busy saving the world from everything else and handling things in her own book. Yeah,
that's awesome. So I guess in a way it's kind of like Great Lakes Avengers or Justice League Detroit or whatever. Yeah. Kind of thing. Yeah, that's cool. That's an awesome concept. It's funny, and in my newsletter a couple weeks ago, or like last week, when I was talking about, I actually gave you guys a big plug in talking about Heroes International and stuff, and I kind of joked that years ago I had this book, and it was called The White Event, and it was like similar where all the heroes disappeared, and I'm like, man, they beat me to it. They beat me to it, man. Come on. But no, it's all good. Totally different take, and I was excited about it when I saw it come up because I was like, man, this is something I would read. So, and that's always easier for me to like get behind when it's something that I'm like, okay, this is something I can get into and I can talk about and spread the word. And so I'm glad it's doing so well. And let's see, Jay, you got any questions or anything you want to ask?
I was just going to ask, we know Vigilance is on this team. Can you give us a little bit info on the other members of the team? So
I sure can. All right, so we'll start off with Human. Human's one of my favorite characters because he is an arrogant a-hole. He is the douche of the team. He thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. His powers are color array. Like any color that the colors that he has around his chest, each color grants him access to a different power. So he can do different things or whatnot, but he can only use one power and one color at a time. My favorite part of Human is that the rest of his body is in perfect shape except for his beer belly that he rocks proudly. He's very reminiscent of me, except it's not a beer belly, it's just a gut. It's a burrito gut because I eat a lot of burritos. So Human's just kind of like the jerk who always is constantly putting his foot in his mouth. Kind of does not listen. He thinks he's the star. Like he thinks like at the last minute that when everything's down, the chips are down, he's the one that's going to save the team. But that is so untrue.
Very Guy Gardner-esque.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we have my other favorite character, who is Titan. And Titan is this big lovable girl who is not confident at all. She's actually a reborn Titan of hope. So she can literally do whatever she wants power-wise. Like her strength and vulnerability, flight. She's as strong as she believes herself to be. But because she has a lot of confidence issues, her powers are limited due to that. So the more she believes in herself, the stronger she'll become. But she has constant angst and trouble with that. We actually introduce Titan in Cipher #1. We give an 8-page mini story that gives her origin, and she actually gets help from Hotshot in that run through.
Awesome. Very cool. And I'm sharing the cover of issue 1 there, which you guys can find on the Kickstarter page. That's what is it? Human? Is that what you call them in the center?
Yes.
Okay.
Human.
That's an awesome name.
And then the girl with the white with the red V, that's Vigilance. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl with the T, that's Titan.
Yes, sir.
Up on the top right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Then we got Ironsmith. She's got the glasses and the orange hair. She's the leader of the team.
Okay.
And she's the reluctant leader of the team. She's not really the leader type, but she happens to be the highest ranking member of that team on EHD. So she gets to be in charge. Then if you go, let me see here. I'm just going through the lineup real quick. Spyware. He can communicate with technology. He can talk to technology in any language pretty much and get it to do whatever he wants.
That's the robot looking guy?
No, it's the guy with the face mask on and the baseball cap.
Okay.
Down here.
Then we got the guy with the dreadlocks, Craig. He's the big jock of the team. He thinks muscles can solve everything. His skin can get rock hard. Eventually, he's going to be able to do some other things, get some other skin forms that grant him different powers. Then we have Adlib. Adlib is another little character. My character faves swap from in and out, but Adlib has the ability to have every single power in our verse, but she only has access to it for a few minutes. So she literally has to ad-lib and figure out how to use that power that's going to be most effective for helping the team.
Nice.
Then you have Nimbus, who is our resident speedster, so that's pretty straightforward. And we have Soundbite next, and that's actually, she's a female inside of that suit. She is compressed wave sounds, and that suit is what's keeping her together. So that's the core team of Heroes International right now.
Nice. That's a pretty cool roster of characters there.
Yeah.
I really like Adlib. That's a cool power. It's kind of a take on Rogue, I guess. That kind of, but a little bit different, where she can just tap into it any time. That's pretty neat.
Well, she never knows what power she's going to get.
Okay. So she's just like, whatever she gets and got to use it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Because then we figured, like, if she had full control of it and she can summon the power, then we figured that she would be too powerful.
Right. She'd be a Deus Ex Machina kind of character.
Yeah. So we wanted to set limitations on them, but the whole goal is that this team is terrible, and slowly, bit by bit, they're going to learn how to be a better team. Like, they'll get one key factor of, oh, this is what it means to be a team. And then, they'll learn lesson 2, they'll learn lesson 3 as the series goes on. The whole grasp behind it is that you never saw how the Justice League became the Golden State Warriors, or how the Avengers can do no-look passes with each other when they're bopping somebody in the head, or how did Wolverine and Colossus come up with the fastball special?
Right.
How did that happen? Was that a conversation? Was that practice? Did Wolverine just step on Colossus's head? Or did in the middle of a fight, did Colossus just grab Wolverine by the head and throw him at somebody? And they're like, hey, that works. Let's do that next time. A little bit more organized. So we want you to be able to see how a team become legends, and they're actually following in the shadow of the original Heroes International team, and they're trying to live up to that. That's partly why they get so much crap, because they're not as good as the previous team, who they were the Justice League in our world.
Yeah. Awesome. I love the concept, man. So is this an ongoing? I know there's covers for the first 3 issues on the Kickstarter page.
Yes, this is an ongoing series. We have right now, which makes it I want to say challenging, but I think it's fun to collaborate on all the titles, keep the titles going in semi one direction. We're building up to our own big event.
Yeah.
Where all the books are crossover. So every title has its own story, its own narrative that we're leading to, but we're tear dropping things in between each one of those books where we'll meet in the center.
Awesome. Very cool, man.
You said that you have 50 titles in Short Fuse. Can you run us down on some of the titles? So
yeah, you don't have to list all 50.
Yeah, not all of them, just some of them. I said. Our viewers already are aware of both Like Father, Like Daughter, and they call her the Dancer.
Of course.
Because Cat is also a part of our channel. So, any of the other titles you want to like give a little spotlight shout out to?
Well, I always have to give a shout out to They Call It a Dancer. I love that book. It's the favorite book the Cat works on. I love it. I love it so much. But we also have Spirit Destiny, which is about a young girl who gets powers. And she's in high school trying to deal with these things, but what she doesn't realize is that her father, who isn't in the picture now, gave her those powers. He injected her with something, and she has to deal with these powers and try to wrap her head around them while being in school, living with her mom, and trying to figure out all this stuff. Stealth, which is another big title for us off the Red Band label. He's the speedster for Red Band, and Stealth is he is not Barry Allen. I will tell you that. He is about his city, and he speaks on very current issues while still defending the city from villains and things like that. The first issue of Stealth was rocking, like it really was a page turner where it just made you think about what's going on currently and how it would look if a superhero decided to step in on these things. We got Alignment. Alignment is a fun chapter division of Short Fuse. We have The Edge on there right now. That book is like rocking 8 issues, and it's just crazy good. There's just so much going on with Edge and all of the verse hopping and things that they're doing. What else do we have? I'm just trying to jump around and give you a little bit of, Heroes Ignited is another division. We have Grit, which I absolutely love. If you like Invincible, you are going to love Grit. Pinkwig and the Prime Controller is just spot on, perfect for kids, but you can get into it as an adult as well. Sister brother team, they get superpowers, and they're young and they are trying to fight things, but they're also arguing with themselves. It feels like a sister and brother butting heads at the worst possible times that you guys can be butting heads. Yeah. You got Tesla. That book is really dope. Young girl with electricity powers, trying to survive, trying to live her life and be a superhero. Very, very dope art in that book. I've been seeing previews from the creator on Instagram for the second issue, and it's looking pretty nice. What else do we got? We got Earthling, which is just crazy. There's so much stuff happening in Earthling. I'm just going through the store right now, just like buzzing, like just trying to get some taps and some hits on different things that we have. Earthling, there's the art's so strong, and it looks like a lot of classic stuff like Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane, even some Invincible style stuff with the covers and stuff that they're doing. Lots of action. You're not going to be bored reading that series. So yeah, that's just some of the titles that we have at Short Fuse. We still have plenty. Some of them have not been announced yet that we're still, about to release and have come out. We still have a busy release schedule.
Justin is part of your part of Short Fuse too.
Yes.
Real Manos for people who are on YouTube with his title Red Knight is coming to Short Fuse.
Yes, it is. We are. We've actually been working. Actually, I just had a meeting with Justin and his editor-in-chief Ramel discussing how we're going to handle the release of his book.
Nice. So, you guys are doing a lot, even more than I realized you guys were doing this. What's like the mission of Short Fuse? You're talking about all these different projects and a lot of different directions you're going. So what's like the core mission for the company?
The core mission is just making comics right now.
Just making comics.
We love making comic books. We love indies. We love putting out stories that people can get behind and want to follow. We want our books to be out there. We want the fandom to be behind us. We want to be part of that bubble, that discussion when people are talking about their comics.
Right.
You know, we are working on strengthening our convention appearances. We have an all access group right now on Facebook, which is called Team Short Fuse All Access, where we have invited people that have supported Short Fuse to be in that group. So we do special not conventions, I'm sorry, contest. We have themed days in there. Just recently, Sean opened it up and made the group public just to get as many people as possible in the group. If you've heard of Short Fuse or interested in what Short Fuse is doing, you want to be a part of that group. Last week, I did Gamer Night, and we're trying to do that every other Friday. I put up my PlayStation 4 login. I opened up a Twitch account, and we played Destiny 2. Me and a couple of the editor in chiefs, and we had some of the Short Fuse fans watching us on Twitch while we were playing Destiny 2. We're just trying to bond and kill it with our audience.
Right. Yeah. That's probably the thing that really appeals to me the most. Just the way you guys are connecting, and that group is awesome because you got so many, like you said, fans and creators and all kinds of people in there interacting and stuff. And the contests, you guys are doing those weekly. I was upset because Legend Storm in the comments here won the T-shirt that I wanted. That Hotshot T-shirt was awesome, man. It was really cool.
Thank you.
I actually won a contest too from them. I didn't claim it yet. Yeah. I've been so busy I haven't got a chance to claim it yet. But yeah, I won the a contest too. So
nice.
Yeah, man. Sean's he's a maniacal genius with that stuff. When he started dropping out those different contests, and some of them don't promote Short Fuse. He'll promote titles, other indie titles that he just digs, and
nice.
He'll bring them in there. I think I forgot the last one we did, but he bought like the first 4 issues of one of the books. I had to go back through there, but they weren't Short Fuse titles, and he just did it because he thought the book was dope and he wanted to help spread awareness of it. That's one of the things I respect and like about Sean. He's all about the Short Fuse brand, but if you're making a good book, it don't matter what umbrella it is, he's going to support it. He supports good books and get them out there. Sean doesn't even actually read Marvel or DC books. He reads indie books. That's his thing. That's what he gets off on. Nice. So the different contests and stuff that he comes up with, we do. I think we started this 2 Kickstarters ago, where you get the opportunity to win every single book at Short Fuse. Mm-hmm. By pledging to the Kickstarter. Yeah. Like, you got to pledge to the Kickstarter, you got to share the Kickstarter, you got to show us that you shared it, and you got to like this thread. Like, it's a couple things you got to do, but you get pulled in the drawing. If you win, you get all 50 books printed, mailed to your house. Like, you get all the books. So that's crazy.
That's worth it. Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So all these books that Mike's been talking about tonight, you guys can get them all. Yeah. David McCauley had a comment. He said, "I'll tell you something else about Short Fuse Media and Freestyle Comics. They welcome everyone. I have never felt a more immediate part of the family vibe anywhere. They are just great people." So that was a really cool comment.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Post the links to the Facebook group and to the Short Fuse Media store. So if anybody wants to check those out, the link is in the live chat.
Yeah, and if anybody in the live chat has any questions for Mike, drop them in there. We'll ask him and try to get some answers for you. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, man, I don't even know. It's like I see how far Short Fuse has come in such a short time, and no pun intended there, but. And then you come on and bring even more books and more projects and more hype and things like that because you're a visible guy. You get out there, and that's a credit to you, man. And
I'm sorry. We got a super chat from David McCauley who donates $5. Thank you so much for your donation.
You so much. Yeah,
it's very much appreciated.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Here's kind of like my thing about that, man. When I go to comic book conventions, it's not that I want to be like, I'm not trying to be against everybody, but there are about at least 100 other talented individuals out there with good books, and I figure I need to get to you before anybody else. And if everyone's going to sit there and be quiet with their heads down while they're drawing and waiting for people to walk up to them, I am not. I'm going to reach out and speak to people because there's other people here.
Yeah.
Like my art alone or my book alone is not going to always be the thing that brings you over. Something that I have learned, and we have learned with Short Fuse, and my experiences with going to shows with Victor and Danny and Ren, is that people, number one, most times people will support you and buy from you because they like you.
Yeah.
Because they just think you're a cool person. It just happens to be a bonus if the product they got from you was actually good. And that's what's going to bring them back. Plus, you're like, hey, man, that person was cool as hell. Let me go over. And the book is good, so let me go back and get the next issue. I can't tell you, and I'm sure you know about this, Brant, but I can't tell you how good it feels when I go to a show that I've been to and somebody just comes up and says, hey, what's up, Mike? And goes through my rack and just pulls out the next issue that they don't have. Or they actually, hold up, I only see this issue out here, but I saw online you had issue 9. Where's it at? I'm like, oh shoot, dude, I forgot to put it up. I'm sorry. So when people just come up to my table to re-up on their books, I love it so much. Oh my God, like that's a good feeling, man. And that's one of the reasons why I make comics. Yeah,
that's one of the best feelings. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book in particular?
The flagship book, Hotshot, right now currently has 10 issues, 0 through 9. Hotshot is a young man in college. He's trying to prove to his girlfriend he's not cheating on her without revealing he's a superhero, but at the same time trying not to get kicked out of college because he's never there because he's a superhero. Where he's residing right now is Columbus, Ohio, and he is going to the art school. And so the aspect that I want to explore this issue this series is we always see the good part of the relationship, especially in the 90s when I was reading books and stuff like that. That's when I started reading comic books. But like, how would it go if the relationship doesn't work out? Like a female today, well, not today, but any female with any common sense, if her man's not around and he's always gone and his best friend happens to be another attractive female, her mind is going to start wondering, like, is you seeing that chick? Like, is that why you're not with me? Yeah. And that puts Hotshot in a situation where it's like, no, I'm not seeing her, but I can't tell you why I'm not here. I'm just doing something. But his something is him being a superhero, which is always I always end up getting into a debate about this because I'd say about half the Hotshot fans hate Carla and half the Hotshot fans don't. And I always come at it from, you have to look at it from Carla's perspective. And I specifically remember some fans who were reading issues 1, 2, and 3, and they were like, I can't stand Carla. And then we dropped the 0 issue that was from Carla's perspective, and they was like, all right, she makes some sense. Like she got some justifications to be upset. So
we got a comment real quick from Massive Panda, all caps. I hate Carla. There you go.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. I'm sorry you feel that way, buddy. But Carla has reason to be upset, whether you hate her or not.
Yeah. That's interesting because I don't think you get touches of that in comics and stuff, but never like to that degree, I think. And I think that's really cool because it makes them more real and grounded. Stuff like that would happen. I also think it's interesting, knowing where you're from, that you base Hotshot in Columbus and at an art school. That a little bit of yourself injected in the story there? Or?
Oh no, man, I'm not self-absorbed. Like, yes,
no,
yes. I am a full-born geek, and I've always wanted to be a superhero. And what better way to become a superhero if you can draw it yourself? So Hotshot was and is therapeutic for me. The story takes place in my sophomore year of college, and at the time that I was working on Hotshot with Victor, I was going through a really, really bad breakup, and that's where the base of the story came from. What if the hero doesn't get the girl? And it's not because she gets killed by the villain or anything like that. It's because the hero just effed up because his communication wasn't right. He took that with great power comes great responsibility really to his head, and destroyed a really good relationship. So how do you deal with that? So that's why that's one of the first things that happens in the first issue of Hot Shot, and our main character has to deal with the results of lying about that, because he let her believe, whether he kept saying it or saying no, I wasn't cheating on you, you still let her walk out your life thinking that instead of telling her what the truth was.
Right. Oh, that's awesome, man.
What are some of his powers? Just for people who are like, what's his power set?
So he's a little mixed up on that, but he knows he can take a punch. He's super strong, flight, and he controls heat. He controls fire. He's picked up a few tricks he can do. Like he can send a spark somewhere. Like if he sees a gas tank, like he does in issue 5, a gas tanker, he'll send a spark inside the tanker to cause it to explode. He can also see like body heat, so that helps him find people in rubble. So he's picked up a few tricks along the trade, but he knows he can do more because he's accidentally tapped into more power, and which saved his life, but he doesn't know how to manually do that.
Yeah. So he's still learning about everything. So that's cool.
Yes.
We got a couple of comments. Massive Panda, Mike, I don't have issue 0. Is that on the Short Fuse Media website?
Oh, it should be. I have the site up right now. Let me double check.
Says he has issues 1 through 9, but I don't have issue 0.
And Desiree DeBella says, "Hi, Mike."
Hi, Desiree. How you doing? That is my boss, because I teach art at her. I teach art at her art institute.
Awesome.
I'm actually not seeing issue 0 here. Hey, because he's tuning in and he's got. Oh yeah, it's on there. Issue 0.
So yes, it's on the mic. I mean, on the mic. Yeah, it's on the website. So go check that out. Yeah.
It is right after issue 9 of Hot Shot. It's right next to that.
Okay.
It's available both in print and digital. So
yes, sir.
Use. It's also a really nice Hot Shot shirt right there too.
I think that's awesome that Panda hates Carla so much that he wants to get issue 0 to see if he should still hate her. I think, hey, drop a bomb for him. Drop a bomb. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Let's see. He said, "Thanks, guys. I will be ordering this immediately. I freaking love this series." There you go.
Cool. Hey, can we ask Panda, what did he think of the ending of issue 9? I would love to know that.
Yeah.
There's a question for you,
Panda. Who's read it? What do you guys think of issue 9, the ending of issue 9?
So while we're waiting on that answer, let's see. I just want to check on the Kickstarter, see just in case, see if you got more backers, but not yet. Next backer will be backer 75, so that's a milestone. So somebody should jump right on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put that out there. Try to help you out there.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Every little bit helps.
Anytime. So going off topic just a little bit. Tell me about one book that you're reading that's not from Short Fuse. Just one that you want to talk about. You talked about promoting some other books, so let's do that. Oh,
well, I'll tell you about a book that I read that's not out yet, that's about to drop. And I cannot wait for it to come out. It's from my brother, Victor Dandridge.
Nice.
You guys, you remember his book with the Trouble with Love?
Right.
Yeah. He's dropping the sequel to that.
Nice.
And I got to read that first issue. Oh God, it's so good.
That good, huh? Yeah.
It's so good, dude. The book doesn't come out till next year. I already PayPal Victor my pre-order money for it. I sent him $10. Nice. I sent him $10 for that, and I sent him money for Vantage Point, which is also coming out from Vantage In-House Productions. So dude, I love this story so much. It's my favorite story that Victor has written, and that's saying a lot because Victor wrote the first 6 issues of Hot Shot.
Right.
But I absolutely love The Trouble with Love. It's a great story for the fact that it's not about the superhero. It is about the dad having a conversation with his son. And so getting to see where that goes next. All right, so Harold Edge is drawing the sequel. He drew the first issue. He's drawing the sequel. And I feel like it's like when we wait for movies to come out. You know, that first movie came out. You know, the special effects were good for that time, right? You're like, oh, that's good for right now. You know, that was so dope. And then you look back at it, you're like, oh, that's good for that time. And it's like Harold took 2 cans of spinach, ate them, and spit it out on the page. Like he's drawing some panel work that is just so good. And the way he puts the characters on that page, his foreground, middle ground, background, his eye direction page, like it's all on point and it's just accented and given life by the words that Victor put on that page. Like, man, I can't wait for that book. So be on the lookout for it, man.
Yeah, definitely. I've got the first issue, so I can't wait for it either now. And Harold Edge's art, I've always loved his art too. For anybody, long-time Zone 4 listeners, he drew Dyna Girl for Carrie Kelly, former co-host of the show. So if you're familiar with Dyna Girl at all, that's the art right there. So, all right. Massive Panda says, the ending of issue 9, you mean when Void comes back? Yeah, I'm going to need you to release this next issue so I can see what kind of damage he's going to do. I'm legit afraid for Hotshot.
Yes. Hey, that makes me so happy. Man, you ain't seen nothing yet. That's just the tip. That's just the tip of it, man. Hotshot is not about to have a good time. He's not. The next story arc for the book is called The Calamity of Hotshot.
Oh wow, nice. There you go. So can you tease anything beyond that coming up for Hotshot?
We're really so one of the things that I want to do with the book that I feel like Victor did really well in the first 6 issues is really tie the emotional impact of Michael being Hotshot into it. Like it really rolled over to the Hotshot character. I'm a big fan of My Hero Academia, huge fan of Naruto, Invincible. I love the storytelling in Invincible, how it's laid out. So I really want to up the ante with Hotshot and try to put my story on. Well, try to write in those same lanes with that. But I want to take you on an emotional story that he goes through. We're going to be dealing with abuse in this book in the next story arc, and failure. Like failure is going to be something that Hotshot's going to have to deal with and live with it, especially. I thought this would be a good time for it now, especially after issue 6, where he called Vigilance on her crap for killing Void and saying how we don't do this and we don't do that. So I think it's time for him to have a little mud in his eye and experience some of that failure himself and see how we can write that character out of that, or how that character comes out of it. But we're going to see more of where does his power come from, like giving you more hints to that as we lead up to Zero Event coming out through Freestyle Comics. You're going to get to see more of Mike's past and what drives him to be, like, besides just Justice being his idol, what really drives him to be this superhero Hotshot, and what pushes him.
Nice.
Cool. I have a little fun question I want to ask you. Everybody who's watching right now can see that you're a big fan of geek culture because you got a lot of little figures and all behind you, set up in little scenes too. Yeah. So I want to know, which is your favorite cubicle of those scenes that you have set up?
That's terrible.
I'm actually to choose between your children.
You are. There's stuff to. Hold up. Can I see if we can do it here? See, I got that up there. Oh man, you're killing me because there's that up there. And then there's the Spider-Man playset right there in action.
That's cool.
Oh man, yeah.
And then there is the Lord of the Rings playset over there.
Wow.
That's the Grayskull, I see.
Yes, sir.
I was the only one who still had a Castle Grayskull.
Well, yours is probably the old one. I got it when it was re-released.
Yeah, I have the original still.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to go with my Lord of the Rings playset because one of my biggest toys that I got in there is the Balrog, and I happened to be in Chicago the year that toy was revealed, and I got it in Chicago.
Oh, nice!
It is the biggest toy purchase I've ever made, and I have 2 castles in it. I have just around 80 figures in the whole set, and I got elves with bow and arrow. I've got Gandalf facing the Balrog. I've got Sauron and Saruman. I got them all. Conan. I got anybody that has a sword is in this playset. I got a custom table built for it. So I'm gonna have to say that's my favorite one, and very, very, very close second is my Spider-Man spectacle, which has about 20 Spider-Man figures web slinging around the ceiling of my basement.
Nice.
That's cool.
I gotta ask how much the Balrog set you back then.
Oh, okay. So I've had the Balrog in storage because we didn't have the space for it, all my toys, and I just got out of storage when we moved to the new house. So I've had to do some surgery on it. When I got it, it was like $290 at Chicago, which I didn't mind paying for because it was revealed there and it was at Chicago. If I was at home, like buying it off of Amazon, I would not have done it.
Right.
But because I was at that show, I was like, all right, this will be the only time that I do it. So I was contemplating that, maybe I get another one to replace it because it's such a great figure and I want it back at its glory. That toy is like $700 now, so that won't be happening.
Yeah. You got to sell a lot more hot shots.
Right. But I was geeking out because I think that's when I was just working that's when I was working a full-time job, and I was like getting like 50 hours a week, and I was a unit manager, and I was getting bonus checks for, collecting on defaulted student loans and things like that. So when I was in Chicago, and I didn't know they were revealing that toy, and I walked up, I was like, I saw it. I didn't know you guys were dropping it in Chicago, and I went ahead and got it, man. I was so happy.
Nice. By the way, you get your 75th backer.
Oh, snapper doodle doo. That's what's up.
That's awesome. All right, so for somebody coming in cold, I mean, you already given us the pitch. You talked about some of the characters. For someone coming in cold and they're like, just tell me why I should back this Kickstarter, what would you tell them?
Because there's somebody on the team that's like you or somebody that you know. We have a very, like I said, it's a diverse cast, but they're diverse and different in their personalities. There are people that are forced in leadership roles that don't want to be a leader. They're more of a background character, but they're going to have to step up and become a leader. There is that person that that has a good heart, but they put an armor of being a douche over top of it. There is that lovable character that wants to do the right thing, but can't find the strength in himself to stand up and do the right and be a powerful person. There's the conflicted character that is a prodigy, but because they can't control their powers, they think the world's against them. So and then all the powers are so different. It's like, how do we effectively use these powers in this team environment to be successful at it? So we have a lot of things going on here, and I pretty much can guarantee there's at least one character that you can get behind in the series. Plus, we'll be adding characters to it too. Ethan Murphy's story arc. He starts a new story arc in issue 3, and it's going to be a 3-parter. And we are going to go pretty much old school X-Men 90 style. So we'll have a blue squad and a gold squad of the team. So there'll be one main story going on with a mini story in the background, and then when we're ready to flip it, the mini story becomes the main story, and they switch roles. So I'm a big fan of how Robert Kirkman tells the story in Invincible. So you'll notice that's kind of like where we tend to lean when we're telling our stories, because I love being able to pick up an issue of Invincible, and then all of a sudden you're getting the conclusion of something, and you're like, well, where did this come from? But if you look at the last 5 issues, he's had 1 or 2 pages dedicated to this thing that was building up, to which now it's taking up the entire issue, and that's pretty much the theme of how we're going to go with the Heroes International book.
Awesome. Yeah, that's right up my alley. Invincible is one of my favorite comics of all time, I think. Love it. So I noticed that, like, when I'm reading Hot Shot, it still gives me that same kind of vibe. Just I love your storytelling in that book.
Thank you. And don't forget, another reason why, if you're coming in cold to get into this book or any book with Short Fuse, we always deliver. So it's a safe investment.
Hashtag we always deliver.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. I was going to ask you something that just totally left my brain. If you guys go check out the Kickstarter, there's preview pages on there. There's variant covers, there's T-shirts, there's action figures, there's all kinds of stuff on there. So much to check out.
Hey, my boss is watching us on her flat screen TV. It looks crazy. She just sent me a screenshot.
I don't know about that. Hide a little bit, but make sure the hat's straight. Man, so are you doing any more conventions this year?
Actually, yeah, I'm going to Parkersburg tomorrow, PopCon. I'll be there tomorrow. I got a couple new prints. I got my My Hero Academia crossover with Freestyle Comics. 8 new prints in that. And Deku, I freaking love that character so much, man. Every time I watch the show, I immediately start drawing him. He's such
the movie.
I have not, and I'm a failure. I'm a failure of a fan for that. I don't know why you brought that up. It hurts me so bad.
Don't feel bad. I haven't finished season 1 yet, so I'm a worse fan than you. Don't feel bad.
Do you watch the dub or the sub? Are you a dub or a subber?
Hey, man, I've got to have it in English because I got to be able to see what's going on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I honestly prefer the sub. I mean the dubbed, because I think the voices sound more like what they look like in the original version, the Japanese version. That like Deku sounds so old. He just doesn't look like how he doesn't look like how he sounds. He should be a little, he should be a young kid, and I think the dub actually gives you that. So,
hey, I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Yeah. So, I love that. I love that show so much. But I'll be at Parkersburg tomorrow. Then I have Motor City Black Age of Comic Con on the 3rd. Then I have Genghis Khan in Cleveland the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And I'll be at CCAD for the Internship Day Fair November 9th, where I'll be going there to recruit interns to be working on the next issue of The Cypher.
Nice. Cool. Very cool. Just for my own personal information, doing any Texas cons next year?
I want to so badly.
Yeah.
I was trying to get in for Wizard World Texas this year, but they just didn't have enough people to come out there for them or whatnot. I was doing so many shows with the program, and I was like, please put me on the Texas list, please put me on the Texas list. But I didn't make the cut on that one. But I definitely want to come out to Texas. I hear it's great out there. I want to get out to Denver, Arizona, Nevada. I want to try to get out to just get out to San Diego just to go, but I did a lot of shows. I think I'm above 25 for how many shows and stuff I did this year. So I want Philly. Yeah,
I saw that on your little icon on Facebook. You were at Philly.
Yeah,
that's my hometown.
Yeah, Philly's a good show. Philly, I make sure to always go to Philly, Wizard World Philly, Wizard World Cleveland, Wizard World Columbus, and Wizard World Chicago. I make sure that like those are definite shows that I do for Wizard World, and then I try to do 2 or 3 different ones in different cities and states. Always trying to expand the audience and switch it up.
Right. Cool. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some random questions just for fun now. What's the next comic book movie you're looking forward to the most?
The next comic book movie I'm looking forward to the most?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. That looks good, right? I mean,
Yes.
a trailer when the part where they're flashing through and she's like clenching the fist.
Yes.
At different stages. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm very much so hoping, and you'll probably have some people hate me for saying this, but Wonder Woman was super disappointing to me. It was not what I wanted it to be, and it's just not what I was looking for the first female comic book movie. But hey, I'm a guy, so I can be looking at this from a completely different perspective. But I feel like Wonder Woman is the X-Men of female movies. Like, we all loved X-Men when it came out, and that's because we had nothing else to base it off of. We were just happy to see some adamantium claws and, optic blast and storm flying. We just were happy to have that and see it, and we accepted what Bryan Singer said. Oh, costumes don't work. You got to put them in black leather. This wouldn't work. You got to do this. We just accepted it because we got X-Men. Right. But then Spider-Man came out and showed you everything Bryan Singer said was a lie. It works. You can do it. And so that's kind of what I think is going to happen with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. Everyone's championing Wonder Woman right now because we don't have anything else except for Supergirl and Catwoman to base this off of.
Yeah, we don't talk about Catwoman.
We don't talk about
Catwoman. We barely talk about Supergirl.
Yeah.
But, you know, so everyone's going to Wonder Woman like it's an amazing film, da-da-da-da. And don't get me wrong, there's some very, very awesome parts to Wonder Woman. There are several great moments in Wonder Woman. It's just as a whole, it fails for me. But I think when Captain Marvel comes out, then we're going to be able to honestly look at Wonder Woman and say, yeah, it's just okay.
That's an interesting perspective on it. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh no, I just wanted to give a shout out to Massive Panda, who donated $5 to Super Chat. Says I should be super chatting you guys if I'm going to be asking all these questions. Haha. Thank you, Super Panda, so much for it.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah. Speaking of which, she, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but Massive Panda also asked, Mike, when you say you didn't make the cut for the Texas show, are you saying there's a grueling process for submitting work for acceptance for their show? Just curious how that went down.
Oh no, just generally they have a budget for how many people they can bring out.
Yeah.
Programming, artist alley, and things like that. They just have different set budgets. And I'm probably just not a big enough name yet. So they were for some of the shows I was out, I was doing some good things with the program that I was doing because it was fun. It had a lot of energy with the stuff I was doing with them and whatnot. But I just think there were bigger names at that show. So, you know, let's take little Mike Watson out because he's just a new guy. You know what I'm saying? So no hard feelings or anything like that. That's just kind of like how things work at shows. They have a budget and they're trying to get as many people to that show as possible. And honestly, my following's not big enough. So I perfectly understand that. So nothing but respect on it.
Yeah.
If I want to not get cut, I need to make my following bigger so they can say, oh no, we got to bring Mike in. He's got a nice audience. Look how many tickets have come in because he's at this show. So that's on me to do that.
Panda said they'll wish they accepted you once they see this issue 10.
Hey, Panda is my new friend, man. Let's go.
Panda's awesome. I want Panda to be my fan. Oh shoot! So, anything else you want to tell us about Short Fuse, about Hotshot Heroes International?
Oh man,
all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, Short Fuse has so much going on, man. We have so many different titles underneath our banner that you can go check out. Like you can one of my things when we go with the full rack at comic book conventions is that I have people stand in the center and close their eyes. And I say, once you open up your eye, I want you to go to the first book that talks to you. I want you to go to the first book that you see that calls out to you. Don't think about it. Just open your eyes and go to the first book you see. And that's probably going to be the book for you. My boss is upset at what I said about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of you with Wonder Woman. I loved it.
I loved it too, but I think your perspective is interesting, and I'm curious if I'll think that way once I see Captain Marvel.
Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's perfectly fine. I'm just all about great discussion, man. I'm all about great discussion.
We'll have to get Kat to bring you on to Media Madness when we do Miss Marvel. Marvel. I would love it. Because I just really think Marvel's going to knock it out the park, and I could be wrong. Marvel has entered one of those franchises for me where I purchase an unbelievable ticket, and what comes with an unbelievable ticket is I'm down for you no matter what you say. So the other franchise that has that started the unbelievable ticket for me is Fast and Furious. I don't care what nobody say about Fast and Furious. I believe in their rules. I believe in their science. They can do anything they want as long as they say family. I'm good. I get that that's the trigger. I don't care that they are now G.I. Joe. They've gone from street racing to being the next G.I. Joe. I don't care. I love it. The characters are great. And that's what movies are supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Movies are supposed to make you suspend your belief and believe in the world that they're giving you. And that's what Fast and Furious does. So I'm buying a ticket to that movie every time, without a doubt. I'm going to have to buy a ticket, watch the movie, and the movie be bad for them to make me lose support.
Dude,
So,
I like you even more now because everybody I'm like I love Fast and Furious, and everybody's like, oh, whatever, Fast and Furious, come on, and I'm all alone, and now I got you, man. I'm right there. Fast and Furious,
dude, it's so great. Those characters are
Yeah.
just. You just want to, and you don't care what the story is.
right?
You don't care why they're doing what they're doing. You just want to see those characters be those characters. You want to see them go through their troubles. You want to see them win. You want to see them. You want to see the interactions with the characters. You want to see all that stuff, man. They've done a good job building up that franchise.
Right. The spectacle that brought you in was fast cars, but then they hook you with the relationships. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. And now, and for me, again, some people may disagree with me. I don't care. And for me, the Marvel Studios universe is like that. Like at this point, to me, like Marvel may have some bad movies, but they're bad movies. And I'm talking Marvel Studio specific, the 20 movies that we have from them.
Right.
Their bad movie is still better than every other comic book movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm going to call some more beef for some people. I don't care. Outside of the Marvel movies, one of my top 5 comic book superhero movies is Man of Steel. I absolutely
you got beef with me now. You cause beef with me because that's a trigger word for me.
That is a trigger.
That's a trigger for me.
Hey, shots fired, baby. Shots fired.
Oh, trust me, ask Brad. I could go on for hours on the debate on Man of Steel.
Hey,
we've had so long of shows because of Jay's rants on Man.
Yeah, there's like a moratorium on the topic because you get me started, I'm not stopping.
Hey, I have been on Wizard World panels debating the awesomeness of Man of Steel.
See, I'm like the only one on Frontline, on Comic Frontline, that likes that movie.
It sucked on every level.
I think the breaking of the neck is justified.
I'm
not even going with that. I'm going.
It is more than justified.
All right, let's go with this. One, there is no Clark Kent in that movie. Clark Kent does not exist. Yes, the name exists, but he does not exist. Okay. Right. 2, his last words to his father was, "You're not my dad." Totally not a Clark Kent thing.
Oh my! Let's go, baby! Come on, hurry up! Come on, say what to say. Go ahead.
He let his father die in the tornado. Clark Kent, Superman, let his father of all people die right in front of him because he was scared to reveal his identity to someone.
Go ahead.
Not Superman. Let's see. The ship lands on the freaking Kent lawn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lois Lane is the only person smart enough to figure out that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person. When the aliens land on his lawn, destroy his mom's house first, comes after him and his mom, and and then like he says, I was born in Smallville, Kansas. I was born in Kansas. They know exactly around how long he was born there. No one else in this world is smart enough to figure out that Superman and Clark Kent are the same exact person. There's suspension of disbelief with the glasses and all that. I know everybody jokes about that, but at least you can disbelieve that. But when everything else says, like he has a neon sign saying, "I am Superman," and no one else really cares.
All right, so hold up. Let's go to your.
You're thinking Perry White can't investigate?
Let's go to your first point. What's the first thing you said?
There
is no Clark Kent.
Clark Kent is not in this universe. Yes,
that's because this is the building and beginning of Clark Kent and Superman. Your boy has inner turmoil with who he is. He is an alien in a world where he has grown up in our era. He has not grown up in the 50s and 60s with the Ma and Pa Kent from back in the day. He's grown up with parents where some of us call our parents by their first name, where a parent's concern is their child's life, and that's it. And he's being told he's an alien with all these powers and all this strength. And what is he supposed to do with it? He doesn't even know. He doesn't even like some of the people on Earth because of his freaking experiences. So there is no Clark Kent and there is no Superman to the end of this film because it is the birth of both of them. Now, your second point was, I didn't interrupt you.
I know. I just want to counter that one, so this way we can go back and forth with each of them. Okay. Because you're saying that there's no.
Wait. So you get this. You get the shot.
Well, you can.
And 3 and 4, and I
can't. Okay. Go ahead. Go through them.
Number 2. What'd you say number 2 was?
He let his last words to his father
was, "You're not his father," because he's not his father. You don't get to tell me what to do because I'm an alien. Now, this I will admit is Zack Snyder's fault because in that scene he is supposed to be a 15-year-old boy, but Zack Snyder chose not to go with the child actor because he wanted to go with the adult actor for that scene for the emotional drive because he knew he could pull it off better. So that is the fault of Zack Snyder. He should have went with the kid. At the end of the day, that is a 15-year-old kid in that scene talking to his dad, and that was an argument that you would have with your stepfather or your stepmother. If they were trying to tell you what to do and you realize that that's not really your parent and you want to go do what you want to do. Trust me, I have experience with that as I've had that conversation and we've gone back and forth on it. So that makes absolute sense. Yes, he let his father die in that tornado because of that conversation. Because if Clark at that time was not ready for the end result of the world knowing he is Superman, then he need not come and save him. At the end of the day, that was still a 15-year-old kid who was scared. And at that, he made a mistake. He made the wrong choice. He should have saved his dad. That's why his instant reaction was he screamed for him like, I chose wrong. But he knew he was scared and he was upset and disgusted with himself because he was not strong enough to overcome that fear to go and save his father. Now, what was your third point?
Well, you already addressed that. That was his father. And then the next one was about how no one can understand that he's, with everything that happened that pointed the signs to him being Superman, that no one can figure it out. Except for Lois, of course.
Now, see, I'd have to watch the movie again because I don't think there's a whole bunch of times where Clark is in someone's face where they can say, oh, that's Superman, because no one really knows who he is because he doesn't even come to work for the Daily Planet till like close to the third act of the film or whatnot. So there is no correlation with what Superman does. Well, actually, let me take that back because now I'm wrong. What Man of Steel does, because he's not Superman in the movie, compared to Clark being anywhere where someone can say, oh, they look alike. There is no correlation, but Lois can put it together because Lois was put in the scenario to be given the facts and the evidence to put that information there.
Well, I'm not saying because I'll work backwards with that. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to go with that one. Okay, I'm not saying that no one saw him or anything. I'm saying the Kryptonians arrive in Smallville on the front lawn of the Kent farm. That's where the ship lands. Mm-hmm. The military goes to the Kent farm. Okay, when he's with the military, he tells them he was born, that he grew up in Kansas, in Smallville. All right. Now, knowing that he looks exactly the same, because Clark Kent in this universe never wore glasses until after this movie. So no one can put together that Clark Kent, is, and he knows about how old, he already said how old he was too, because he was like, I came to Smallville at like 30 years ago, something like that. He says his time frame for them. Trust me, I've seen this movie. I know. I'm a huge Superman fan. That's why I have problems with this. But he says exactly, like, he basically tells them exactly who he is. But no one in the military can figure out that where these aliens landed and they started their attack and where this Superman says he's from, they can't figure out that, oh, this lady who just happened to adopt this kid that she found could be the mother of this guy who has all these powers.
So who says they even have any time for that? Because once the crap hits the fan,
afterwards, it would have to be in the aftermath. You will still have to deal with it. So I'm saying it may not be in this movie right at the time, but in the aftermath, the universe that this movie created that universe. Mm-hmm. So in this universe, they're saying that everyone else in the world except for Lois Lane is stupid.
No, they're not. You're thinking that they're saying that. For all we know, someone else or the military did figure it out, but because of what Superman has done for the world, they let it go.
See, that's what I'm saying.
But that's not. But see, then you go to Batman v Superman, where the world is split and the military does not trust him. So the world does not trust him. He's still at the point where the world does not trust him yet. So.
But see, here we go. We're adding assumptions in there, and I can admit I'm adding assumptions in there too to combat what you're saying. But just because one part of the military doesn't trust Superman does not mean another part of the military does. It can be split. There's more than one person in charge, and obviously he did have some support from the military.
Yeah. I said some people do trust him, some people don't. But I'm saying so. Then everyone who doesn't trust them is stupid because they can't figure it out that where this aliens landed is right where he lived. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the way that they presented it was to the fact where it would make everybody else in the world stupid except for Lois Lane, which I get, because she had to figure it out because everybody kept complaining that she had to be stupid to not figure it out all those years. But all right, his father. I understand that he got in a fight with his father, okay? I can accept that because even, if you're not adopted or anything, you still have issues with your parents. Every child does. I understand that. But he saved a bus of kids and exposed his identity to Smallville already. Around town, people knew it. That was a fact that was given in the movie. In the beginning of the movie, we see where incidents where he reveals that he has these powers and these abilities in front of other people. So the people in town already know it. And it's a small town. And anybody who knows anything about a small town is that it runs on gossip and word of mouth. So if one person in that town knows it, every person in that town knows it. You think no one says, oh, there's that Kent kid. Something's up with that kid. But yet he decides to let his father die. But you say the bus full of kids who are nothing to him. Like, that's not Superman. He wouldn't care. Or he's friggin' super fast. He could just fly. They would think he got pulled up by the hurricane and landed 20 miles away.
I hate it when people say that. This kid does not know his limits. He has not been.
He knows that he's super fast already.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know everything he can do. He has not been tried and tested like Christopher Reeve's Superman. He doesn't know the limit of his powers. He doesn't.
But we saw him running already.
But he doesn't know how much he can take. He doesn't know if he can take a tornado. And how?
Well, I'm not saying he has to run into. Wait, I'm not saying he has to run into the tornado. I'm saying he could have just came up like from the side, run up real fast, grabbed his father, run around somewhere, and drop him off somewhere safe, and just say that the tornado grabbed his father and took him away. Like, he could have just used that.
And there's the problem with how you're trying to explain that. That's what you would do on the outside looking in, not what a 15-year-old kid would do standing there after his father told him in a specific conversation, I was just trying to save everybody. And his dad told him, maybe you should have let him die because all I care about is your safety, Clark. All I care about is you being safe, because if people know who you are, if people confirm who you are, they're going to take you away from us. They're going to experiment on you. I don't care about nobody else's kid. And I know that's something crappy to say, but as a parent, you only care about your children. And if you want to talk about the courage of a child, real life, just a little bit of personal information about me. My mom was being abused by my stepfather. And it took a long time for me to literally get the courage to stand in between them. I was literally disgusted with myself with how long it took me to actually stand in front to protect my mom because I was scared. So I can understand and see where Clark is coming from, where he's fearful of what's going to happen. That makes sense. It's real. So maybe because I've had that situation and I can relate to that, I can understand why a 15-year-old kid would not move because his dad told him not to.
See, and I can relate on the other half of it because I lost my father. My father died. So I would have given my life for him, and if there was anything I could have done that could have saved my father, I would have done it. I don't care if he would have told me. I would have took the consequences. I would have died myself if I could have saved my dad, just to let him live one more day. So as a child who went through that, and someone who's 80 years worth of Superman history, Superman would have done that. He would have said, I don't care about my life. You're more important because you're my father. And especially after the words that he said before, it it would have been more important for him to do it. And now the last thing was about no Clark Kent. See, that's just saying that there's no Clark Kent, but Clark Kent should have existed for over 18 years because he was in his 20s in the beginning of the movie, or at least in his 20s by the time we get in there. So he should have existed already. The personality of Clark Kent should have already been formed. We're talking about today's world, but we're still talking about the Kents. No matter what origin you're talking about in the comic books, the Kents are always the Kents. They're the stable, grounded family. Zack Snyder wanted to mix it up and make it to where Clark is more broody and sullen like Bruce Wayne, and he's not. He mixed up the fact that there is no mask behind Superman. Superman is the mask, not Clark Kent. And he got it mixed up to where Clark Kent becomes the mask. And that's where Zack Snyder is wrong with it.
And see, and I still feel you're basing that off of, and I respect what you just said, by the way, too. That whole exchange between you and I on that whole coming from both angles, I really do respect that from you, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. But I still think you're getting that mixed up with your perception of what Superman is to you and what he is back then. This is not that Superman. This is a Superman that we get the chance to grow with and get to be able to be relatable with. How can Superman be the Superman that you want him to be if he doesn't experience anything, if he doesn't make any mistakes, if he doesn't know the cost of something? He can't be that Superman that everyone knows and wants without growth. We need that for him to understand what it means to lose a life, to see someone fall and him not do anything. So when he is Superman, he will do anything in his power to prevent that from happening. The fact that he gets to feel and take a life with his own hands, and the way he screams at the end of that movie is something he's not going to do that. He's going to do everything in his power to prevent that from happening. And we don't get to see that because the outside fan base started berating and attacking Warner Brothers for what they did, and then they changed their lane. If the fan base would have left it alone, we would have got that Superman in the next film. And they rushed it and gave it to us in Justice League. That's the one thing I really did enjoy about Justice League, is that we got that Superman, but it came from a different path, and they should have just let them do their path. And I absolutely
they gave him two movies. They gave him two movies.
They gave Batman. They gave Batman a movie.
That was supposed to. I agree with that. Superman is not in it enough, because when Spider-Man has more lines in a cameo appearance in Civil War than Superman does in a movie that features his name in the title, there's something wrong with it. I agree with that point. But that was their second Superman movie. That was supposed to be their second Superman movie. And we shouldn't have had that much time to grow into it. We've seen him make mistakes as a child. That's what his teenage years are for. That's why you had that section of the movie, to see him growing up. And then he learns those lessons as an adult, and he becomes Superman because of those lessons. Those lessons are what forms him to become Superman.
But I'm pretty sure you do. But to be a 15-year-old kid and have your parents tell you that you're an alien from another world, and you have all these powers when you're already lost in this world, when you feel like you're completely different from everybody and you don't fit in already, and then you have this weight thrown at you, there's going to be some disillusion there, and you're not going to know who you are. Are you this alien, or are you Clark Kent? He's already going through stuff, and he has these two egos, these alter egos, combating themselves inside of him. To me, that makes perfect sense, and why we don't get him until the end of the film, because he still has to discover himself. I love that he had to go through that and again, that's all my personal opinion, and I can understand that, and I could take that. But I love that he went on that journey, and because it is set in our time era, not the 50s and 60s. But I feel like we can absolutely go, and I am now calling for a new episode with just us talking about this whole thing. Like, we sit, we watch the movie, and we go through it.
I'm down with that too. Speaking of which, we got a couple.
Brandon's like, finally, it's over.
No, we got a couple of comments. Down Rock Records said, this is a very intricate discussion, yo. And then Panda said, yo, this is the realest Man of Steel debate I've ever heard. So there you go. If you want to hear more of that, just let us know. We'll make it happen down the line. Definitely. Maybe I'll get a word in. It's like, let these two go. I'm just going to sit back, listen, take it in. No, that was good. That was good, though. A lot of great points, and we got to explore that, but we got to move on. So it's starting to get late.
Play on going.
Yeah, it's starting to get late. So, Mike, let us know where we can find you across the internet, social media, all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, you can find Short Fuse on shortfusemediagroup.com. That is our website. You can also find Short Fuse on Facebook and Twitter. You can find me as Art of Mike Watson on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also locate Freestyle Comics as Freestyle Comics on Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram as well.
Awesome. Very cool. And check out Heroes International on Kickstarter. We dropped the link in the chat a couple times. It'll be in the description as well. Or just go to Kickstarter and search for Heroes International. It'll pop up. And go back that because it's awesome. And they need your support.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because once we hit the goal, we get to announce what the stretch goals are. And I'm trying to tell y'all want these stretch goals. You want them. They are, they're so good.
So the Kickstarter runs until November 10th. So not too much time, 3 weeks. So go check it out. And anything else you want to plug, Mike?
Short Fuse is awesome. Go check out our store. Go check out our books. If you are a Short Fuse fan and you've bought our books before, please go into your local shops and request our books. Request our books on your pull list from shop owners so we can get our books out to you. And get ready for more from Freestyle Comics. Danny Cooper has taken over as the editor-in-chief of FSK, and there's a lot cooking in the kitchen. We have a couple new titles that we're going to be dropping, new creatives, new artists, and stuff like that we have working in the kitchen right now. So if one of those announcements I'd love to say as soon as we hit this goal, I can't wait to start yelling at the ceiling top once we hit it.
Awesome. Let's make that happen, people. All right. Jay, you got anything to plug?
Yeah. Frontline reviews just dropped today on Frontline, comicfrontline.com. Go check that out. They're up there each and every Friday. Tomorrow I'll do a review for Super Ninja Steel. Sunday is my Q&J, so that would be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Sunday at 10 o'clock right here on Comic Frontline. Let's see, Comic Book Club. This is the 28th, Sunday the 28th at 10 o'clock p.m. And that will be discussing Batman The Long Halloween trade paperback. So if you guys have that, come and join us. We'll love to discuss it. Frontline Live this Tuesday is at 10 o'clock p.m. each and every Tuesday. And this week we're doing an e-panel to start it off with. And we're going to have Pat Shane and Emily Pearson on, who are going to promote their new Black Mask comic book, which is Snap Flash Hustle. And then we're going to do our normal stuff, which is really short on the news because we have an e-panel. Then we're going to do the top 5 worst pick, what you're most anticipating. We always encourage everybody to join us, and on that you can leave your top 5 with us on our Discord. The Discord's in every single Frontline video and live show right down in the description. Go check that link out, join our Discord. A lot of fun rooms over there, everything you want. If there's not, let me know, maybe that room will exist. Check out comicfrontline.com of course, and follow Comic Frontline at Comic Frontline all over social media, and follow me at Comic Book Theater minus the R on Twitter and with the R everywhere else.
Awesome. All right. For me, check out me on social media and YouTube at Brant Fowler. Just relaunched my Patreon, so at Brant Fowler for that, where you can find early access to the audio version of Zone 4. By becoming a patron, I'm sharing like writing and art and all that stuff. My YouTube channel, I'll do Monday Musings on Mondays, and weekly comic rankings right here on Comic Frontline on Tuesdays. As for Zone 4, check out the Zone 4 Aftermath show on Patreon on Mondays. And I think that's it for me. So again, thank you for coming on, Mike. Always a pleasure to have you. It's been too long. We should do it again soon.
Yes, we should. Yeah. I'm serious about it. This is great. So number one, thank you for having me on the show and giving us the platform and opportunity to speak on what we do at Short Fuse and Freestyle Comics. But I had a blast. I would love to be back on here. I am serious about us sitting down and watching that Man of Steel episode and going through it.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll set it up. Let's do it. So that's coming down the line for sure. We'll just say it right now.
All right.
It's a matter of time. All right. So with that, it is time to wrap up the show. So we would like to thank the official bands of Zone 4, the Raywall Band, and Society's Plague that you hear on the show each and every episode. We are also proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. You can find us right here on Comic Frontline every Friday and also on comicspodcasts.com, Stitcher, iTunes, and of course, zone4podcast.com. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions for us, send those to zone4podcast@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.